History isn't distant. It's a map of how we got here. Let's explore it together. Today, Maverick will be our guide on how the present and past link up.
Every headline feels new, but immigration crackdowns have shaped history for thousands of years. From medieval kingdoms to modern borders, leaders have tried to control who can cross a line on a map. Today's debates feel intense, but they're part of a much older story, and the past has something important to say about where this is going. Long before passports and fences, borders were blurry. Farmers, traders, and families moved where the land and work were, often without papers or checkpoints. It wasn't until rulers realized they could tax, control, and weaponize movement that they began tightening the rules on who was allowed in and who could be forced out. One of the first big crackdowns came in 1290, when England expelled its Jewish population. Families who had lived there for generations were suddenly ordered to leave. They lost homes, businesses, and communities in a single royal decree. England thought it was solving a problem, but it also pushed away merchants, knowledge, and connections it would never fully get back. A couple centuries later, Spain did something similar on a much bigger scale. In 1492, the same year Columbus sailed, the Spanish crown forced hundreds of thousands of Jewish and Muslim residents to convert, leave, or face brutal punishment. Port cities filled with people trying to pack their entire lives onto ships. Spain stayed powerful for a while, but it had driven out many of its most skilled traders, thinkers, and artisans. That's a pattern you see again and again. When a country cracks down hard, it might feel stronger in the short term, but it often loses talent, trade, and trust. People don't just disappear. They take their skills, money, and stories somewhere else. The map doesn't show it, but culture and creativity quietly start to move. In the last century, many countries introduced strict rules about who could enter and how long they could stay. These policies often place limits based on broad categories defined by governments at the time. Officials believed these measures would create more order and security. But over the years, those choices shaped communities in ways no one expected, changing neighborhoods, workplaces, and even the mix of languages people heard every day. If you zoom out, most crackdowns aren't really about crime. They're about fear, economics, and pressure. Leaders worry about jobs, resources, or elections, and it's easier to blame people at the border than to fix deeper problems. That doesn't mean countries can't have rules, it just means the reasons behind those rules usually go way beyond what's written in the law. That's the bigger picture. Messy, human, and worth understanding if we want to build something better. So what does history suggest about today? When nations slam their doors shut, they don't freeze the world in place, they redirect it. People change routes, new smuggling networks appear, other countries gain the workers, students, and families that were turned away. Crackdowns feel decisive in the moment, but they quietly shape who is building the future and where. It's also true that a lot of the world's biggest success stories were built by people who once would have been turned away. Inventors, artists, scientists, and everyday workers crossed borders because they had to, or because they were desperate for a chance. History's powerhouses weren't just lucky. They benefited from being the place people could still get to when other doors closed. Immigration is complicated, and every country has the right to make choices. But if the past has a message for the present, it's this. Whenever we talk about who gets in and who is kept out, we're really deciding what kind of future we're building. Borders may look solid on a map, but history shows they're always moving, and people are always moving with them.
The past is full of lessons. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps as we grow this channel. I'll see you in the next story.